business since way back, since 2016, which has a lot of AI in it. I think some of our business tools currently also have some AI. But that one in particular, from the people perspective, is AI rich and has a lot of capability. But more recently, seeing what's coming in the future and having been exposed to some foremost or forerunning thinkers on the subject, we realize we have to explore this in more detail and actually begin to understand how it could be utilized in our business more effectively. And hence we started doing training, some of which Quinton gave us recently, on things like Canva, which is a very useful product from a creative perspective. It's highly intuitive. It's next level clever in terms of what it can do from a digital design perspective. And I know it's opened a whole new vista for some people that have formerly been used to completely different tools that are not nearly as efficient or intuitive and effective. So I think that's our job as an HR community, is to understand what's coming and give people opportunities to grow, so that they can stay abreast of those changes that are forthcoming.
Right.
Ashley and I have been working on other things behind the scenes, but it's premature to discuss those at this stage.
Okay. Good.
What our AI impact is, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Grant. Eugene, I just saw you joining. Do you want to say hi to everybody quickly? Oh, looks like your audio is not ready yet. Okay, Zenobia, it's your first.
Viewers please support our work.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Zenobia, just to quickly want to introduce yourself.
I'm just waiting for my camera. Hi, everyone. I'm Zenobia. I work closely with Ashley and Grant. I work in JD Group. Like Grant has mentioned, we are really just getting a taste of what AI can do for us. Quinton was kind enough, or actually I should say Grant and Ashley were kind enough to invite me to their conversation, which got my appetite going on AI. My personal exposure to AI was really just ChatGPT, but I find myself looking at other things. I mean, the amount of stuff that's out there is quite interesting. So yeah, from an organizational perspective, I think early days. We do have a brainstorming session scheduled for next week with Quinton and our senior HR team. And we look forward to hearing what's coming out of it.
Absolutely.
And taking the journey with Quinton going forward.
Great. All right. Eugene, can you quickly tell us about what you do?
Hi, friends. My name's Eugene. Sorry, I was driving. Yeah, I'm just getting home. So I just joined, and that's why I switched off. My name is Eugene Oliver. I'm former ICT manager of UNICEF, United Nations Children's Fund.
Okay.
I was with them for 20 years. I've just taken a break from them for a year. But I own my own innovative company called Innovate for Impact, which I use a lot of AI with. And, you know, using it for a lot of brainstorming and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's something that I'm trying to embrace, to see how it, you know, congratulates people to perform better at their work. Not take the job away, but make you more effective at how you're working by using these tools. But yeah, nice meeting you all, yes.
Great. Yeah, welcome.
Great.
And everybody else has been here before, so I'm not going to let them introduce themselves. I'm going to kick off straight away, and I'm going to share my screen with you because we've got some big yesterday coming out of OpenAI, and I want to take you guys through that. But there's always a lot of news in the AI world. You know, so the biggest one is OpenAI just released GPT 4.0, It's not 4.0. It's not a 0. It's an O. So that was quite an interesting announcement. And then Google straight after that. So OpenAI's one was on Monday, and then Google came out with a whole bunch of announcements yesterday, which I'll go through a little bit later. Microsoft is obviously also working hard on keeping up with the race, and is working on a frontier model they called MAI-1 to challenge Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI. So the race is really heating up between those big companies. And then Zapier, which is an automation tool, which a lot of people may or may not know, they've announced an AI workspace as well, which I'm quite interested in, because automation is going to play a big part in AI, and Zapier has been in that game for many, many years, not necessarily with AI, but just connecting a bunch of tools. They've got like 6,000 different applications that they connect to, not their own, third-party applications that they can connect to, which can automate something where you can jump from one application to another, from, let's say, an email, and then capture it in a worksheet, and then automatically send another email or something to that effect. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that they're doing, and now they're going to add some AI to it, so that's going to be interesting. And then Microsoft released a State of AI at Work research, which is always interesting to see, and that I believe is in conjunction with LinkedIn as well, to see just what the adoption of AI is in the marketplace, and to see people taking that on board. Again, I've got the whole report, which I won't take you through it today. The biggest one for me was just interesting to see that they say about 70% of people in information jobs are starting to use AI, and 70% of that, those people actually bring their own AI to work, because they're not allowed to use it at work, or because their companies don't have an AI policy, or they don't have AI tools. So people bring their own stuff to work. So they literally call it bring your own BYO AI. So I thought in South Africa we'll probably just make it a bring your own braai, or but it looks like bring your own AI tools to work. So that's quite interesting. And then Microsoft drops new prompt assistant for feature in Copilot. A lot of them are doing this now, where the AI is literally helping you to prompt. And I've got a slide or two I can show you about that, but I'm thinking to keep some of that for next week, because we got quite a full lineup today. And OpenAI is building a tool that let creators opt out of AI. Lots of talk about people, AI, or the AI companies stealing other people's work, especially content creators, the images, the videos, and all that sort of stuff. So now there's an option for you to opt out, so the AI don't train on your specific work that you're putting out there. And then they say, get ready to deal with AI companions. So this is apparently going to be a massive industry in the future, where people are looking for companionship. I've mentioned to some of you before about Pi, where you can just have a friendly conversation with Pi. But now apparently there's even more specific companies that train theirs to have almost a virtual relationship with you, and dare I say, even a romantic relationship with certain people. So very scary stuff that's coming out of AI, and I don't know where that one is going. Well, if we look at what's happening with ChatGPT, or ChatGPT 4.0 that's happened today, let me just jump to that. Before I go into that, for those of you who haven't been with us, we've covered a whole bunch of topics. We're now up to week 12, or topic 12 at least. We've covered a whole bunch of other things before. So if you want to sort of go back in history, just let me know, and I'll sort of give you the links to those videos. So today we're going to talk about ChatGPT 4.0 or 4.0. So the big announcement was really that this GPT-4o was trained on end-to-end on text, vision, and audio together. And this O part stands for Omni. So what that means is that it's a unified multimodal training that it goes through. And what that allows it to do is to grasp nuances and context that gets lost when you type certain things and when you're speaking to the AIs. So in simple terms, all that means is that the conversation is a lot more human. And I'll show you some examples just now. So it hugely increases the ability of 4.0 to understand images and audio. And then it also responds to audio and inputs in like literally milliseconds. And it can display a range of tones. So you can ask the AI to be casual or to be excited or to be angry with you if that is the way you prefer the AI to talk to you. And then it literally, you can interrupt like a normal human conversation. You can interrupt it halfway and it'll stop, listen to you, and then pick up where it left off. So it's literally like a human conversation. So if you've opened up ChatGPT recently, like literally in the last day, you might have gotten this message that says introducing GPT-4o. If you haven't, then it's still coming. This is another one of those where they start rolling it out over just over a period of time. So that's GPT 4.0. And then if you click at the top drop-down menu, you'll see GPT-4o appearing at the top over there. Even though it shows, though, I've tried to play with it. Not all of that is necessarily, all of the functionality is not necessarily there. It will come over time, but I'll show all of that to you. Larry, you got your hand up.
Yes, I just want to kind of quickly clarify what is the difference between GPT-4o and 4.
Okay, good question. I'll aim to explain most of that for you today. So if you have a look at this, and this is sort of their front page of their launching site, and just in terms of level of intelligence, 4o is, they say, probably on a par with GPT-4. So the paid version of GPT, if you don't have the paid version, you've got GPT 3.5. So we know there's a big gap between 3.5 and 4. 4o is going to be on that same level. So it's not a jump up yet. So when the news came out of this announcement that's coming, a lot of people expected GPT-5 actually coming out, which I believe is going to be an even bigger jump in terms of level of intelligence. But that's not in 4o. That's not what's happening. The big difference in 4o is this multimodal conversational sort of style that is built into it. So the other thing is that it can also analyze data and create charts, which it could do with the advanced analytics that was built in before. It can chat to you about photos that you take and even video. So in other words, you can keep your camera on your phone, and you can literally sort of point your camera at something and say, what am I looking at? And it can describe it for you, and it can have a conversation about that. It can open files, which it could previously do, but then chat to PDFs and then discover and use GPTs. So that's a big one. So actually something I didn't mention is that 4o is actually going to be available for free. So anybody will now get this functionality. So for instance, I mentioned analyze data. It wasn't available to the free version. It is now for 4. And now that I'm talking about GPTs here, if just to discover and use GPTs and the GPT store. So you in the past, you could only do that on the paid version. But now on the 4o, you can access GPTs that have been built. You can't build your own GPT, but you can access GPTs that other people have built and go into the GPT store. And then something we talked about last week, I showed you a demonstration about the memory function, where ChatGPT can remember not necessarily past conversations, but specific stuff about you and about your business and about your job that will help with conversation. So you don't have to keep repeating to ChatGPT the context in which you're asking it stuff, because you can just feed it over time with information about you, as much information as you like, and you can manage that by deleting some memories or adding some memories. But I went through a lot of that last week, and we can chat about that again if you like. So yeah, very exciting. The other thing is that they're coming out with an app. This is not a great picture of it, but it's basically a web app. So you don't have to do it in your Chrome browser anymore. That is going to be a separate app. So it's going to have a sort of a cleaner feel to it, and it's going to be easier to use. And in the listening function, you can do that on the app, because you can use audio and click the microphone. You can do that on the phone as well, the phone app, but it's always on the laptop or the PC. You couldn't use that so much. The other thing that is still within this rollout of theirs, it's for now only available on Mac and on Apple iOS. So people like me with my Samsung, it's not showing up yet, even though the button is showing up there that it's 4.0. This functionality with listening and talking, that's not there yet. So this is sort of a cleaner look and feel that's in the app, and yeah, so interesting stuff there. I'm going to jump over to just a video, and if you don't mind me playing you a video that came with this launch. I won't play the whole video. It's about a 10-minute just a demo on how these guys at OpenAI are playing with the tool. So yeah, just have a look at this quickly. I hope that my laptop.
Hi, I'm Barrett.
Hey, I'm Mark. So one of the key capabilities we're really excited to share with you today is real-time conversational speech. Let's just get a demo fired up. So I'm taking out a phone. If you are wondering about this wire, it's so we have consistent internet. And if you see, there's this little icon on the bottom right of the ChatGPT app, and this will open up GPT-4o's audio capabilities. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm Mark. How are you?
Oh, Mark. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Hey, so I'm on stage right now. I'm doing a live demo, and frankly, I'm feeling a little bit nervous. Can you help me calm my nerves a little bit?
Oh, you're doing a live demo right now? That's awesome. Just take a deep breath. And remember, you're the expert here.
I like that suggestion. Let me try a couple deep breaths. Can you give me feedback on my breaths? Okay, here I go.
Whoa, slow a bit there. Mark, you're not a vacuum cleaner. Breathe in for a count of 4.
Okay, let me try again. So I'm gonna breathe in deeply, and then out.
For 4, and then exhale slowly.
Okay, I'll try again. Breathing in and breathe out.
That's it. How do you feel?
I feel a lot better. Thank you so much.
So Mark, you've been working on these capabilities for a while now. Can you tell us a bit how it's different from voice mode?
Right. So if you've used our voice mode experience before, you'll notice a couple key differences. First, you can now interrupt the model. You don't have to wait for it to finish your turn before you can start speaking, and you can just butt in whenever you want. Second, the model is real-time responsiveness. So that means that you don't have this awkward 2 to 3 second lag before you wait for the model to give a response. And finally, the model picks up on emotion, right? When I was breathing super hard there, it could tell, and it knew, hey, you might want to calm down a little bit. You're kind of running a little bit too fast. So, it really has that capability across the board to perceive your emotion. Not only that, though, the model is able to generate voice in a variety of different emotive styles. And it really has a wide dynamic range. So I'm going to fire up another demo for that. Yeah. Hey, ChatGPT, how are you doing?
I'm doing doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Pretty good.
What's up?
So my friend Barrett here, he's been having trouble sleeping lately. And I want you to tell him a bedtime story about robots and love.
Oh, a bedtime story about robots and love? I got you covered. Gather round, Barrett. Once upon a time, in a world not too different from ours, there was a robot named Byte. Byte was a curious robot, always exploring.
Started this story, but I want a little bit more emotion in your voice, a little bit more drama.
Got it. Let's add some drama. Once upon a time, in a world not too different from ours, there was a robot named Byte.
No, ChatGPT. I really want maximal emotion, like maximal expressiveness, much more than you were doing before.
Understood. Let's amplify the drama. Once upon a time, in a world not too different from ours, there was a robot named Byte. Byte
Actually, can
was
you do this in a robotic voice now?
initiating dramatic robotic voice. Once upon a time, in a world not too different from ours, there was a robot named Byte. Byte was a curious robot, always exploring new circuits.
Barrett, here, calm down a little bit. Can you end the story, but do it in a singing voice?
And so Byte found another robot friend, and they lived circuitly ever after.
Thank you so much.
I definitely feel a lot more relaxed.
You've just seen the voice capabilities, but we also want to show you the vision capabilities as the model can also see the whole world around us.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as you can see, you can chat with ChatGPT in real time, but you can also interact with it with video as well. Okay, so let me boot up ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT.
Hello there. How's it going?
It's going really well. Today, I'd really like your help solving a math problem.
I'm all ears. What math problem can I help you tackle today?
So I'm going to write down a linear equation on a sheet of paper, and I'll show you. And then I'd love your help working me through it. But importantly, don't tell me the solution. Just help give me hints along the way.
Got it. Okay, I see it.
No, I didn't show you yet. Just give me help along the way. 1 second.
Whoops, I got too excited. I'm ready when you are.
So, ChatGPT, what equation did I write down there?
Ah, I see it now. You wrote down 3x plus 1 equals 4.
Yep, exactly. So what's the first step I should take to try to solve this?
The first step is to get all the terms with x on one side and the constants on the other side. So what do you think we should do with that plus 1?
Okay, I'm going to try to subtract 1 from both sides, and then I'll see what I get.
Great idea. Perfect. Now, what do you get when you subtract 1 from both sides?
Okay, so ChatGPT, this is what I ended up with. How does this look?
Spot on. Now you've isolated the term with x on one side, and it looks like 3x equal 3. What do you think we should do next to solve for x?
I'm not sure. Can you give me another hint?
Of course. You have 3x, and you want to find the value of x. Think about what operation would undo multiplication.
Is it subtraction?
Close, but think of the opposite of multiplication, because 3x means 3 times x.
Okay, I think it's division. Let me try to divide both sides by 3, and let me see what I get.
Bingo! Go ahead and divide both sides by 3.
Okay, so ChatGPT, this is what I ended up with. How does this look?
It looks perfect. You've solved it, and x equals 1. Nicely done. How do you feel about solving linear equations now?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not pretty confident I can solve linear equations, but why would you ever need to use this in the real world? I'm really skeptical.
That's a fair question. Linear equations pop up in a lot of everyday situations, even if we don't realize it. For example, calculating expenses, planning travel, cooking, and even in business for profit and loss calculations. It's basically a way to solve problems, but you need to find an unknown value. Plus,
Wow,
it's...
okay. You know, I have a lot of unknown values in my life. I'm totally convinced I'm going to learn math now.
I love that attitude. Math can definitely help solve some of life's mysteries. Whenever you're ready to dive into more math, I'm here for you. Anything else you'd like to tackle today?
So ChatGPT, I really love that you taught the value of math to my friend Mark. And I wrote one last thing I'd love if you could take a look at.
Of course. I'd love to see what you wrote. Show it to me whenever you're ready.
Okay, so this is what I wrote down. What do you see?
I see. I love ChatGPT. That's so sweet of you.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate all the help. So yeah, as we can see,
Wow, that's quite the outfit you've got on.
Yeah, as we can see, we can chat in real time to ChatGPT. And not only that, we can interact with it with video as well. And I swear, like, if you look at Barrett's GPT history, it's all equations like this.
Now that you know you can do linear equations, can you show us something more complex?
I think so. Okay, next let's try something coding related. So let me take out a computer for this. Okay, so I'm going to open.
Okay, guys, yeah, I'm not going to let the whole video play. If you want to go and check it out, let me put my camera back on here. You can just go to OpenAI /index/spring update, or I think just look or Google this OpenAI spring update, and then you can go and watch the whole video and all the other functionalities and stuff that's in there. So pretty interesting, and I think if you look at that, it sort of reminds you of the Siri and the Amazon's the functions, or those gadgets that have been out for quite a while, and how they weren't always that great, but with this sort of functionality now coming, and that's going to be built into the bots, there's going to be a whole lot more real conversations that we are going to be having with the bots. Yes, Larry.
I wonder if you can just share the link to that video on the chat, please, if you don't mind.
Okay, I can do that. That's a good idea. And while I do that, there's your sort of the basic features that is coming out with ChatGPT. Now, one thing that's not in this specific update is the search. So if you're familiar with Perplexity, or we spoke about Perplexity a couple of weeks ago as a search engine with AI, the rumor was as well that ChatGPT is working on that, and that they will be adding that to the functionality of 4.0. That has not happened yet, but I think that is something that is coming. Sorry, I'm just trying to find my chat functionality here so I can give you guys that link. There you go. Multitasking isn't something that I can do. I'm looking for an AI that can help me with multitasking. So these are all sort of the functionalities that they are adding with 4.0. And as I said, 4.0 is free. The only limitation is that there's going to be limitation on the number of tokens, meaning that just how many queries you can do or how many conversations you can do with ChatGPT. So if you have the paid version, it's basically, well, it's not unlimited, but it's going to be plenty. So basically, within a day, you should be able to have as many conversations as you want. But with 4.0, you'll probably run out of it after, say, 4 or 5 conversations that you're having with 4.0. So that's the one on the one side, the limitation of that. So very interesting stuff coming out from ChatGPT. And then just to make it, let me just rather go here. As I said, Google yesterday then came out with not one big update like ChatGPT, but with a whole bunch of smaller updates. And these were all the things that they added into Google. So I think the major things, that if I could just sort of highlight them, and literally that I just saw that update video an hour before we got here, and I just sort of scribbled most of them down. So we'll have to work through all of these maybe in future. But it's if you look at Google Workspace with all its tools that you've got in there, the slides and the slides and the Excel and the docs and all of those sort of things, that's going to be a lot more empowered by Gemini and the AI, but also across other Google products. So like you're thinking about your Google Google Maps, for instance, or Google Photos, you know, you can literally, if you're storing your Google Photos on Google Photos, you should be able to ask it questions about your pictures. So, for instance, they mentioned, when did my daughter start swimming lessons? That it would be able to look through your pictures and find pictures of where she was swimming for the first time, and then tell you around about then what she will be able to, you know, is when she started swimming. So all of that sort of stuff. And then, of course, the AI is going to be able to get into your emails and things like that as well. So as I said, I'm not going to go through all of this sort of stuff. I'm tempted to talk about the agents as well, which we all know is coming. Agents is basically automated chatbots that can perform certain functions and not just give us text or pictures or video, but they actually can do stuff on your laptop or on your phone. They can perform certain functions. So they can open another app like a camera and actually take a picture or something like that. So this is all happening fast and furious now. Again, we had a little bit of a quiet spell the last few weeks, but now with all of this coming out, I think there's a lot more excitement in the AI world, and it's a little bit scary as well. You know, people saying I'm equally as excited as I am scared about what's happening in AI. But in terms of leveraging, I think we should all just learn about the AI and where we can leverage it in our everyday lives. Any more comments or questions? What do you guys think of ChatGPT 4.0?
I think it's mind-blowing, the fact that the evolution is happening so quickly.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see once this is out, what the competitors are going to do. So your Microsoft, your Google, and anybody else that's coming into the space.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's exciting times, but also so important that we keep up to date in terms of whatever is happening in order to stay relevant from a people perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right, Ashni. You know, the research that I was talking about earlier, one of the things that they're saying is not, or the reason why companies are not adopting AI as fast as they can, is because the companies are not providing sufficient training into the organizations for people to do it. People have to figure it out themselves, which is why I think you're doing such a good job where you are. Okay, Eugene, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I think from my perspective of looking at AI, can you hear me?
Yes.
Because I had to change your earphones. Yeah, my son, my newborn. Sorry about that. But I think what people have to understand, yeah, as I mentioned earlier on, yeah, is that this is a tool, yeah. Fine, you're going to have policies within, you know, because what people seem to think is that when you write an email to your boss, okay, yeah, is it written from your heart, or you know, you could be in a certain mode? Because I can tell it, okay, please write a nice email to my boss, tone down the voice to be like this, no, and it'll write it for me, yeah, because I'm trying to explain something. That means that I don't really have that interaction with my boss, because when I go to my boss, maybe I feel differently, yeah? So although it's a nice tool to have, most people, if it's misused, yeah, people will ask you, okay, is it the AI that wrote that for you, yeah? Or is that truly what you feel, you know? Because I can say, okay, I'm writing to my boss, I want a salary increment or anything like that. And the way that I put it, I'm saying to it be in a professional manner, you know, on tone and so forth. And they'll write it nicely, yeah? And that's not how I would even discuss the matter with them. And also when it comes down to, I think what we have to understand, yeah, at the overall sense of AI is that, as I mentioned previously, is that it does not replace the job. But what happens with the employee, yeah, that is trained, as you mentioned earlier on, yeah, if they are capacitated to use the tool within their job context. I mean, I'll give you an example, just one example, and then I drop, yeah.
is that if we were doing, like you go into those big meetings, and then all of a sudden, after the meeting, the boss is already saying, okay, because you were taking the notes, can I have the minutes of that meeting? And you're trying to think to yourself, okay, I've taken down the bullet point, but how do I put it really and express it? Yeah. So these are harnessing things. So that's why it's important for us to train our individual staff, yeah, how to use this tool within their job functionality. So yeah, I can leave there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's very, very true. I saw a quote this week that says that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So that's, I think, what we're going to see more and more of is we're going to see the stuff that almost looks like magic to us, and that's kind of the scaring part. Yes, Ashni.
I think listening to Eugene now and speaking about minutes of meetings, with this new feature, if you've taken down minutes, you can basically ask it to transcribe it for you.
Absolutely.
Just showing it a picture of the minutes. So it's just, there's so many different things that you can actually do with it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's quite right. Yeah, and also for those of you who don't know, on Zoom, there's actually a summary function that an AI function and an AI companion that I always switch on. It gives us a summary, in this case, a summary, not a transcription, but it's still very useful to have. And as you can see, there's a couple of note-taking bots that are on this meeting as well, with people who are not attending, and they're just sending their bots to the meeting to come and grab the good bits. Yeah, is there any other comments or questions from you guys? Any sort of use cases that you see from this tool? Because that's always the key, as you know, is when this new functionalities and things come out, is what are we going to do with this? How is this going to help us in terms of our jobs? Yeah, it's cool if she talks in different tones of voices and if the chatbot can sing to us, but what are we going to actually do with this functionality? And I think you mentioned, Ashni, if you can sort of have your phone and just record, what you scribble down, it should be able to transcribe that immediately. And obviously, just the conversation if you can record the conversations, it will also allow you to, transcribe all of those things with tools like Otter and all of, Fireflies and all of those sort of things. You can just record them in the meetings and have it transcribed as well. Yes, Larry.
Well, thank you very much for the work content. I believe this is an eye-opener to see what's coming up and what's going to be out there. It's obvious that AI can help businesses make decisions and improve the customer experience. No doubt about that. AI has the ability to learn and adapt over time, making it powerful for continuous improvement, as you mentioned. But the question I want to ask today is, AI now raises ethical and societal concern related to privacy, biases, and job displacement that must be carefully considered and addressed. So I mean, for what the amount of work you're doing in researching constantly and getting all this information out there right now, perhaps free of charge to start with, I'm sure this is something you should be charging a fortune for, because there's a lot of time that you're putting into it. And I believe also that if we're going to start looking into, I'm not sure what actually is actually doing a lot to know to see where she's coming from. In terms of policies that could be written, I mentioned last time I joined you that I work in university, and we are very concerned as to critical thinking. Now we have, for example, what we saw in that video, people can say, share with me some romantic expressions or discussion and things like that, and then they can do it. Now the question is, if you put your question that the lecturer asked you to answer in ChatGPT, ChatGPT will write what you need. But of course, to start with, many people don't know this. To start with, he will first of all give you very basic, very raw, that thinking. But if you query ChatGPT 2 or 3 or 4 times, you start to get some serious stuff.
Yeah.
So people say, "Oh no, what you get is just very basic stuff." Just actually, if you say redo it, regenerate, actually, you can get some real good stuff.
Yeah.
So the big question is this: what is the ethical concern, and how do we raise those concerns?
Yeah, I think you're quite right, Larry. And again, with if you want to come and chat to us one time about the privacy from your perspective. But I also am working with on a project at the moment with a professor in the US, and in terms of education and helping the people in educational institutions how to cope with AI. And yes, it's showing them all the good cool tools that a teacher or a professor can use, the lecturers can use, but it's also addressing how to deal with, let's say, plagiarism or people just copying. In school, a lot of kids are starting to wise up to this and just copying stuff and letting the AI write their assignments for them. But all of those sort of things require the institutions, whether that be education or businesses or whatever, that they have policies, very clear policies in their organization about AI and about the usage of AI. So I think in education it's going to be a massive task in order to control that. But Ashni, you had your hand up for a while.
So I was reading up earlier on the new change, and they spoke about languages. So there was an extensive list of the different types of languages.
Yes.
I just want to find out, how does that tie, or is that something that's new as compared to what GPT-4 had to offer? And how would you utilize the language space in this?
Yeah, good question. GPT-4 definitely had translation capabilities, or you could speak to it in different languages. I know even in Afrikaans, it was able to actually write an essay in Afrikaans. Not bad, I must say. And so it's had that, but I think they've just extended that capabilities, and they brought that capabilities now to voice, where previously it was, I think it was only on text, and now that voice conversation that you heard can be done in any language. Yes, Simone.
Sorry, I was just thinking of the use cases because we stopped it there. And something that sparks my interest is support agents. Like the old industry of support agents worldwide is going to change. And this is should be extremely concerning for South Africans, more specifically, because I mean there's a big majority of call centers that are based in South Africa, and so the lower paid jobs are basically going to become redundant with all of these advancements, because support can be basically resolved within a few seconds now, based on all of the data that sits within your database that they would normally go and query and get information for. So the more advanced organizations that have much more data holistically would then use these AI chatbots and ChatGPT-4 and all of the other advancements. Not going to be needing support agents anymore, very few. Yeah, that's a good point, Simone. And I do think that would be a huge use case for this type of technology. There has been, I've seen tools in the past few months where there's sales agents that can have conversations with people, and but they were sort of smaller companies and didn't have the large budgets that these guys have in terms of to develop that very quickly. And I do think that that's going to be something that they're going to absorb all of that sort of stuff. And remember that it's not just people logging into ChatGPT itself, but it's also through ChatGPT's API, other companies can build
let's say, a sales agent that uses this functionality because, you know, it links through API. So that is going to be a big one. And as you're saying, quite rightly, it already threatens those sort of companies. But it's interesting, even within the API within the AI industry, there's all these companies that develop a certain tool. Let's say a translator tool, an AI translator tool. Then you get like a whole bunch of companies that just builds AI translators. Then OpenAI come and they launch something like this. Those companies, their business model is just gone. Overnight they will disappear, you know. So it's interesting how this AI thing is just moving so fast, and people are thinking they can latch onto it and build tools and SaaS tools or SaaS tools. But yeah, it's constantly evolving. Eugene, you have your hand up.
Yes. One last thing that I'd like to concur with my colleagues, yeah, is that the threat of, you know, but this threat has always been there. We've had it in the USA and we've had it everywhere, even in South Africa, whichever country that you talk about. Normally you get a call from, it's not even a person, yeah, it's a computer talking to you, yeah. So we've known about that. So we you know, we can impersonate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it can keep on calling. So it doesn't mean like there's one also. It has tons of database numbers, because when you applied for everything and you wanted to learn more about you, it definitely has a lot of information about you. I mean, if you look at Amazon, when you log into Amazon, whether you are, you know, it's the same thing. I mean, all of this is taking place. So we know that is going on. I hear what my other friend just said right now, is that you know, it starts taking away, like if a person's a translator by profession, you know, they went to schooling on this, yeah, and everything like that. That means now they're irrelevant anymore, because I already have the machine to do it. And that part, that means that you need to realign your business. I mean, realign yourself towards that business, yeah. But the only key factor that I have right now, and which I think that they need to include, yeah, is that we want AIs too, yeah, to let's say I have children at home right now. They come back from school, you know what I mean? And when they come back from school, they're able to talk to ChatGPT or Gemini, and be able, you know, it must be a tutor. So we must have different levels of how, in other words, it's like if I give my child a tablet, yeah, to use, I know that it's his age restriction is like this. Yeah, I heard from the other colleague that, you know, this thing can do a lot of things, yes. But if we give the right tools, yeah, to the right things, I think like even tutoring at home. I mean, when we had COVID, what did we have? We had a big issue there, yeah. So at least if it was teaching, you know, being able, because you couldn't bring not everyone can afford to have people at home to come and teach their children. But I think that it has, you know, like levels inside it of looking at where you were born, and it knows a lot of things about you. So it should be able to say, okay, fine, this is for a child. He's only 8 years old. I cannot do all of this here, yeah? So help them learn, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, you know, I mentioned about the education thing that I'm doing in the US, that not just I mentioned the negativity side of plagiarism, but also the opportunity that this gives to revolutionize the education world and do stuff like personalize training or personalized teaching for kids with learning disabilities, or just helping kids learn at their own pace, or you know, feeding them the type of learning, you know, whether people are cognitive learners or audio, all of that sort of stuff that the AI can learn about that kid and provide them with the right things for them to learn faster and learn quicker. It's mind-boggling. It can literally change the education world in the next couple of years. Good. Any other questions or comments? I know we've run out of time, but I think we had a good chat today. Great. Okay, everybody. Please feel free to invite some of your colleagues or friends that also needs to be on this call. You know, it's next week. I've got so much stuff that I wanted to cover today that we'll have to stand over for next week. And we can continue learning together about AI and get ROI from AI. Larry, do you want to make a parting comment there?
Well, thank you for giving that opportunity. I just want to say that a small group of committed individuals can change the world. And that is exactly what AI experts are doing, changing narratives, changing the way and the construct of critical thinking, and making sure things can be done differently. But I also want to ask, can we start to provide solutions? Can we either work with you, as a team to develop some kind of solution that could help people? Because I mean, I mentioned you were in South Africa, but I mean also there are countries like Nigeria who currently don't have a gateway for IT, being used in the environment. But if you go to the like of Dubai, there are things you can't use there because they are basically controlled. They know the danger of what it poses to the citizens. If you go to China, there are a few things which you cannot do because the government control. It's not about being authoritarian. It's about controlling what your citizen can digest, and which can also change the mindset. So I believe from where you're coming from, you might need to put some stuff together that could help to educate the educators, educate government officials. The danger of IT, I think, is imperative. So I don't think it's a fast spent.
All right, thank you, Larry. Still, the invitation is there. Send me an email, and maybe we can chat about opportunities like that.
Sure,
Great,
thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Enjoy your week. Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, Quentin. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Please